Hello and welcome to ALPHABOLD's webinar on Reshaping Manufacturing with Industrial IoT. We'll be exploring some use cases and trends and certainly be here available to answer any questions you guys may have. Thank everyone for joining us. My name is Brian and I'm going to get us started and I'll introduce our speaker in just a moment. First of all, just briefly about ALPHABOLD. We are a consulting group that provides strategic as well as tactical consulting, which can be on an enterprise level as well as very specific to individual solutions. We do so across a number of different verticals as far as the industries are concerned, as well as the types of services that we offer. We have teams that are experienced in ERP, Microsoft Dynamics, CE and 365, of course, Office Managed and SharePoint for your Microsoft platforms, Azure for your cloud platforms, AI and IoT, and we'll be talking about the IoT piece, but AI being artificial intelligence. That includes also mobile app development and integration work that we do. We have a team dedicated to data engineering and advanced analytics. Which of course is at the top of everybody's mind these days. And I wanted to add on things to even the subject that we'll be talking about today. We have a group dedicated to DevOps, and that's whether that is purely from a software development perspective or infrastructure as code, or even in your artificial intelligence with machine learning, how to create continuous learning pipelines. And we have a group dedicated to QA. The QA group helps us out certainly with our various initiatives, as well as being able to help you out specifically with your initiatives within your organization. How do we do it? We go about it through, of course, ad hoc consulting that's as needed. It depends upon the subject that you have or the project you have at hand. We can do development and look at the existing solutions that you have, which could be from a technical or from a business process perspective. And help you optimize those to make sure you're benefiting from the investments that you made. We, of course, help integrate all the various systems that you have or help you explore the right way to approach integrations as a whole. In this cloud environment, it's very important to everything we're doing. And optimizations from a number of different perspectives, whether it's from business process and flows to the flow of data, and other pieces behind the scenes. It's, again, functional and tech. We have a methodology that we follow that helps enable our ability to ensure a high level of delivery and quality for the service that we provide you. We refer to it as our bold route methodology. There are different methodologies out there for projects, but this is our way of encapsulating that along with how it applies to our values and how we believe the quality is of the utmost importance. We do that by getting in and then analyzing your business. We help then configure your systems or solutions to be aligned with those requirements and what your needs are and your objectives. We'll then implement that and then spend time with you on how to get the most out of that through training and training the trainer or providing documentation, training sessions within your organization, having robust UAT sessions to ensure that everything meets your requirements and expectations, and then, of course, getting things out there and put in use and making sure that they continually meet those expectations over time. I'm going to introduce next the two of us who will be speaking. You have me, this is Brian, talking right now. I am the Director of Business Applications here at ALPHABOLD. A number of different groups that report up through me, but the reason I'm in the role I am is because I have a lot of experience doing these things across enterprises, and in particular, I have a lot of focus in the strategy and implementation side of things to make sure you're doing the things that matter most and that will drive the most value. And we help organizations do that, and of course, we drive that through the various practices or various areas within our team makeup here. And of course, you can see I enjoy connecting users with technology. I also like long walks through parks and everything else. But the most important person on this is Sam, and he is very experienced. He is our lead of our AIoT practice, which covers artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, both industrial and consumer based. It also covers our integration, microservices, and app development, whether it's a web app or mobile applications. And he's been doing it quite a while, and he truly is a lover of the tech. I can't get him to turn things off sometimes. He's a great guy, and I hope that you will find his information he's going to share with you both interesting, educational, and hopefully inviting to cause you to ask us more about how IoT can be of value within your organization. Next, we're going to talk about the big topics that we're going to cover today. Our agenda is we're going to define what is IoT, just to make sure we're all on the same page, and how that differentiates between industrial and consumer IoT. There are different purposes behind those and different applications of them. We'll talk a little bit specifically around the use cases within industrial IoT. That is the focus of our webinar today, and some of the opportunities and benefits that that presents and offers. We'll discuss a little bit about how to take into consideration cloud versus native deployments of your IoT and how those scale and provide security and various aspects for how you would implement that. Sam will actually do some demonstration of real things in action, and then we'll open up the floor for some Q&A. I would like to, of course, encourage you, if you have any questions, to please submit those in the question pane. And when we get to a good spot at the end, we will actually try to address those questions for you. If there's any need to, we'll also indicate whether or not there's any follow-up required. Without much ado, I'm going to get out of the way and let you guys have fun with Sam. Sam, please take it away.
Thank you, Brian. Welcome, everyone. Okay, so let's start by defining what is IoT. In a nutshell, the Internet of Things describes the network of physical objects, which are known as things, that are embedded with sensors, software, and other technologies to connect and exchange data with other devices and systems over the Internet. It's a rapidly growing market, and according to a leading market research survey, more than 27 billion connected IoT devices will come online worldwide by 2025. It is mainly subdivided into two types, as Brian mentioned earlier: industrial IoT, which is also known as IIoT, and consumer IoT, which is known as CIoT. Okay, moving on. So IIoT refers to the extension and the use of IoT in industrial sectors and applications. It connects automation devices such as sensors, actuators, and PLCs, which are also known as programmable logic controllers, to the remote apps over the internet or local network, as well as to each other, which is known as machine to machine. It's deployed across industries, and here are a few examples: manufacturing, energy, healthcare, transportation, agriculture, automotive, and it also happens to be a key element of Industry 4.0. On the other hand, consumer IoT, as the name suggests, refers to the consumer-driven IoT solutions, such as personal or smart home solutions. In this webinar, we'll be focusing more on the industrial IoT. Okay, so here is a brief comparison to help understand the subdivisions of IoT better. Consumer IoT is designed to automate daily tasks, whereas the industrial IoT solutions are designed to optimize and automate complex industrial processes. CIoT devices have a relatively shorter lifespans and with constant replacements and version upgrades. On the other hand, the industrial IoT devices are designed for extreme conditions. The goal for CIoT solutions is to provide consumer convenience, and in the industrial realm, the goal is aimed at safety and sustainability. The malfunctioning of CIoT has local impact, whereas in IIoT, the malfunctioning has widespread impact. So moving on to some of the use cases now. Okay, starting with some of the industries here. So it's a game changer for the manufacturing sector, and IIoT enables connected devices to give manufacturers insights into the machine health and key KPIs in real time. The data can also be used to prevent unplanned downtime. This can be achieved by employing predictive maintenance solutions. Manufacturers can also track products throughout the supply chain. Repair or emergency events can be captured as notifications that can be used to dispatch the staff in the field. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about logistics here. So IIoT solutions can help in enabling much better visibility into the supply chain by way of deploying connected systems. These solutions can be used for vehicle tracking where the goods are in transit, and goods tracking on the individual level can also help identify the health of each item. And it's a game changer for solutions like cold chain, where you have temperature sensitive material in transit. Okay, let's talk about IIoT in healthcare. It is also referred to as IoHT, which is Internet of Health Things. It's rapidly transforming the healthcare landscape as it enables remote health monitoring. Accurate health updates can also be tracked with telemetries like blood pressure, heart rates, and the blood glucose values. Notifications and reminders about health problems is also a key use case here, especially in the senior or elderly care use cases. Anomaly detection is enabled, and also remote consultations. Okay, so here in the industry sector, in the energy sector, IIoT is helping with the management of the demand, with improved regulatory compliance, with the deployment of smart meters and grids. Worker safety is also a key component here, which is made possible by smart wearables, and remote monitoring is also enabled. So it's actually transforming the solutions from the legacy SCADA to decision support systems. Um, as you can see, the common theme here is to let the devices speak by way of letting them stream the data captured by the sensors. As mentioned earlier, IIoT is a rapidly growing market with more and more devices coming online. Now, here I'm talking about the future trends here and the opportunities there. So, with the onset of enabling technologies like 5G and blockchain and cloud, the adoption is only going to increase. So dovetailing with this point, IIoT adoption is spurring growth in cybersecurity also, as increased adoption also means increasing the security risk. Um, Moving on, so e-commerce has seen massive growth post COVID-19 outbreak, which got the manufacturers scrambling. Data analysis enabled by IIoT, is making the supply chains as a whole to be agile in the procurement, inventory management, and order processing. We have already discussed how IIoT is transforming the other industries. Moving to the edge. Now, this refers to the processing performed on the device or the robot, also known as cobots or collaboration bots, where the decisions have to be made in real time and not having to wait for the signal coming in from the remote system. So prompt reaction time is the goal here. It is fast becoming central to the smart city and transportation initiatives like driverless transport. Moving on, here are a few considerations while choosing between the on-prem solutions versus the cloud-based implementations. I'll provide examples as we go over those points. So I'll start off by availability and scalability. So in the on-prem realm, an example of that would be a project that we delivered for one of our clients. And their requirement was to develop a custom MES, which is manufacturing execution system, that was to be deployed worldwide, more specifically North America, South America, Asia, and the EU. And as you may know, that shop floors are not the usual office type environments. And it is not always possible to ensure reliable internet connectivity, which means the moment they lose internet connectivity, they stop manufacturing, which is a strict no-no. So therefore, their fundamental requirement was to develop an on-prem solution, which was to be deployed on the factory's local network to mitigate the risk of unreliable connectivity. But on the other hand, an example of cloud solution would be in B2C scenarios. Let's say you have wearables. Um, And then there the requirement is to pair the variable with a mobile application, um, and maybe render some real-time plots on the mobile application, but most of the data analysis actually is performed in the cloud backend. So there the availability and elasticity provided by the cloud services become critical and deal-breaking factors. Moving on to the next point here, cost optimization and financial viability. So it's to ensure that the developed solution, which may be fulfilling all the functional requirements, also remains financially viable from the cost benefit standpoint. An example, let's say you have data that is being generated. An example of that would be vibration analysis. And if that data is enormous in volume per unit time, then offloading the processing to cloud-based services may help fulfilling the functional requirements, but the implementation cost would be too high because that would make the solution cost prohibitive. Then in such situations, it's recommended that you need to perform the heavy lifting locally, either on the edge device or to a locally deployed system, and sync only the critical pieces of information in the cloud that may help with analytics and reporting. Moving on to data security, and another aspect is is data security. In one of the workshops that I was conducting with the client, a concern was raised about their data security. For example, for regulatory compliance reasons, they couldn't keep the data in a third-party storage service, which includes all the cloud storage services. This element then becomes an important consideration for choosing between cloud versus on-prem solutions. Reporting and analytics. The data generated by sensors eventually gets consumed by reporting services so that more sense could be made of it for business or operational reasons. The sheer horsepower coupled with the elasticity features, in addition to the business intelligence capabilities you get with the cloud, helps in fulfilling the business objectives by transforming the raw time series data into actionable insights. But like everything else, it also depends on the circumstances and the actual requirements. For example, the licensing cost per user and how intricate or complex the reporting requirements are with data security imperatives. And keeping all those in view, they become important factors in choosing which way to go. Integration. Now, talking about actionable information. What if there is an alarm that goes off related to the malfunctioning of a critical piece of machinery? Then in such cases, it's possible to capture such events and have them integrated into the field service modules of the MES or ERP systems as support tickets that get assigned to the support personnel in real time. This use case can further be refined into predictive maintenance, in which the listening AI can generate alarms before the occurrence of the malfunction. Supportability. Now, the technology of choice for the implementing organization is also an essential factor while working on the overall architecture of the solution. Whether it's .NET, as is the case mostly in SMEs and even bigger enterprises, or Java, or the other open source options that we have available like Mean or Munstack or Python-backed frameworks, etc. It is vital to have a clear idea on how to support different aspects of the IoT solution post-deployment. Uh, we have come across situations where the requirement was to enhance the existing solutions in production for decades, developed in C++ for PLC handling, and make them part of the IoT automation initiatives also. So then in a nutshell, it's important to have those solutions developed and which are like native to the organizational support structure as well. All right, time for a demo, but before I get to that, please allow me to give a bit of a background here. So this demo that I'm going to be presenting in a moment is essentially a microcosm of the custom MES system that ALPHABOLD developed for one of our existing customers. The core pillars of this system are process automation, error proofing, operational efficiency and velocity improvement, and business reports for planning purposes. Now, let's talk about process automation here. We achieved that by automating daily tasks and workflows. We also integrated with business systems like warehouse management system, WMS, to manage the flow of orders. We also integrated with modern and legacy manufacturing equipment by way of developing machine interfaces, running inside controllers, and also made sure that the serial communication and PLC integration was performing properly. We also developed customized UIs to help drive the process flow for the operators. Moving on to error proofing. This, by the way, is one of the core or main objectives this solution helps achieve. The whole idea is to minimize the write-offs here. In other words, it's an effort to minimize the loss incurred. A few examples. We integrated with weighing scales, and the purpose was to facilitate the operator in the weighing process without having that person to perform those calculations manually. So the machines were integrated with the solution in real time, and all those telemetries were getting streamed off to the UIs. And all those calculations that were required to be performed were being performed on the fly. Uh, Another example could be gluing and curing. There we integrated temperature sensors with MES to ensure the optimum curation time. An example is applying grips using semi-liquid glue, which is expensive. And the process helps in waste prevention by ensuring the products are curated at an optimum temperature range within the stipulated time frame. Another example is bending, which relates to the bending of the instruments within the given tolerance. This machine, by the way, is running in production for more than 2 decades. So following through on the promise of automation and reducing the manual intervention, the solution preloads the bend parameters every time there is an item that is scanned which needs to be bent. Length measurement. We are currently working on this project and using the computer vision technology at its core. Again, helping with the error proofing, rather than letting the operators use manual procedures like using the measuring tape, the solution helps in locking the required length markers there. So moving on to the operational efficiency, I've already alluded to that while explaining the error proofing aspect, but I'd give one example here to drive this point home. So imagine the operator having to calculate the weight manually using a calculator, and the same process is repeating on the quality control station. Now, this hampers the velocity of production. Due to the automation of this process, the potential of increasing the throughput actually multiplies. Business reporting. Um, so far, I've touched upon the operational aspects here, but it's imperative for the business to gain insights into the day-to-day activities. Reports help the management make informed decisions. Some examples are KPIs, such as the number of items produced per unit time, best performing stations, stations reporting the highest number of write-offs, which operator is taking a break and for how long, um, how are different shop floors or factories performing in comparison. So those are some of the reports that we developed, which are part of this whole solution. All right, so enough talking. Let's go to the demo here. Now, for better understanding, this is a simplified demo of the temperature probe use case. In this demo, we are capturing live fields using the probe mounted on the controller. These telemetries are then streamed to the remote applications. The one that we developed for this webinar is deployed on Azure using Azure IoT, and the other example is that of a custom developed application. But the flow here is explained, in which you have sensors producing those telemetries. They go through the machine interface that we develop inside those controllers on which those sensors are mounted. And this machine interface then streams the telemetries off to the end application. And then those telemetries in real time help drive the user experience on the application, which could be alarms, notification, interactive graphs and reports. Okay, so this is an application that is deployed in Azure. Here is a probe that is put in a cup containing mild warm water. The telemetries generated by the probe will be streamed off to the cloud application here. This is actually deployed in Azure IoT, and you can see those telemetries have made their way to the application. Here we have also configured a rule that you'll see in a moment. And that as per the rule, if the temperature value were to exceed a certain threshold value, then an email notification is sent out. We can further customize the solution by way of integrating this event with other business applications. Let's say Microsoft Dynamics Field Service module, and there is a support case that would be opened, prompting action by the field service staff. Okay, this is an example of the email notification that is being generated by the cloud application. Okay. Okay, this is a demo application that is custom developed in .NET Core. This can actually be deployed on-prem. Again, a simplified use case here. Focus on the uh, telemetry streaming here, and every time it encounters a value that violates the threshold value, there is an indication. Currently, you're seeing the optimal range, and when it exceeds that value, it turns red. So in the actual production version, this is actually part of a report that shows a list of all the live work orders being temperature curated with the remaining curing time based on the live temperature fields. And every time the curation time for a specific work order is completed, that specific work order then drops off the report, and that report is deployed on the shop floor and it's being shown on big screens there. Okay, moving on. This is an example of a very interesting project that we are currently working on. It's related to measuring the length of the given instrument using computer vision. Um, the general process flow at a higher level, if you can see that on the left side, you have the camera fields, which are made to go through the computer vision pipeline, performing steps such as edge detection, erosion dilation, and contour detection. And the outcome of the pre-processing is the length of the given instrument. In this example, the length of the instrument when measured in a manual way using the vernier caliper, is around 5.5 inches. And the length determined by the test application again is also 5.5. Is actually 5.47, but if you were to round it off, it becomes like 5.5 inches. So in computer vision projects, the environment also plays a very important role, as the attributes like lighting, camera angle, distance from the object, those attributes can actually be fine-tuned to achieve more realistic and acceptable results as well. So with that said, I'll move on to the next slide. And that is related to how ALPHABOLD can help. Now, we offer a number of services, starting with strategy, architecture, and design. We also offer project management and business consulting services. This includes engaging with cross-functional teams, device vendors, developers, and other business stakeholders. We also provide device prototyping services on a number of hardware platforms. Moving on to the solutions. So app development both on web and mobile. I showed you examples of some of the web applications there, but we also work on wearable solutions in which mobile is a central element there. Image processing, data engineering, and analytics, as well as artificial intelligence. So aside to IIoT, we also work on robotic process automation, natural language processing, and machine learning solutions. So in a nutshell, we cover the entire spectrum. That includes device to the application all the way to the backend. So it is very important to pair with a knowledgeable consulting partner that understands the domain well. And if you want to embark on the journey, don't know that you have a willing partner who wants to go on that journey with you. So with that said, I'm going to open the floor for some of the questions and answers.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for doing that. Yes, as Sam mentioned, if you guys would, please let us know if you have any questions. You can submit that in the panel. Right now, we don't have any coming in, so I'm sure Sam answered all your questions that you may have at Industrial IoT. I know I have some questions in some of the use cases that you mentioned, and I'm not sure if these would be something that you guys would be interested in as well. Before I go there, I see Joseph has raised his hand. One moment. Go ahead, Joseph. Would you like to share your question?
I think I'm muted. Sorry.
We can hear you.
We can hear you now, yes.
Oh, okay. I noticed you had like an internet connection to PLCs. What type of security do you have on that so people can't hack into that, or maybe even do some sort of ransomware protection?
It's a very good question. So this specific use case relates to the vending machine that I mentioned earlier, and this is actually deployed on any given shop floor. So this solution that we built for them is deployed locally. It's not accessible from outside in. So that way, and all the data that gets streamed does not go through internet. It goes through the local network there, and all those security considerations that are being applied on the network, they prevail there.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sam, can we take that to that was the example we had. Is there how would you handle the security of the streaming data if you're using a cloud application?
Yeah, through cloud, I mean, there could be multiple ways we could protect that communication channel. I mean, we can start off by making sure that the communication channel is protected by way of enabling SSL there. We can also make sure that all the communication that gets streamed off actually goes through a private subnet. And there could be other considerations also that we can take into account in ensuring that the communication that is taking place is not something that anyone else can intrude into.
Excellent, thank you. Any other questions from anybody participating? If you can raise your hand as Joseph had before, or submit it inside the chat panel, we're happy to take it. We'll give you a second to do that. Sam, if you would move to the next question just for a moment to give folks time to submit any questions if they have it.
You want me to move to the next slide? There we go.
I believe so. Right. So we of course, want to thank everybody who participated, that has joined us for this and spent some time with us at ALPHABOLD. We'd love to connect with you and see if IoT is appropriate within your organization, help you make that determination, and also to help you evaluate what type of investment strategically would be required and how to who to partner with, and hopefully that's us. But what the right way to approach it and the right way that you can benefit from it, and all the considerations are related to a successful implementation. Want to encourage any of you to reach out to us and let us know if you are interested in a follow-up conversation, and we'd be glad to talk. Great. Hey, actually, we got a question that just came in. This is from Wendy. Thank you, Wendy. So the question is, can you share a bit of the challenges you roll as you roll out the application to the floor with limited connectivity as well as globally from US to other countries? Great question. Oh, yeah. We could probably have a whole webinar on
that. True that. Thanks for that question. So yeah, we actually face a number of challenges, starting with languages first. I mean, the way the application was designed, as I mentioned, I mean, it was supposed to be deployed in Asia as well as in South America. So I mean, it was just not something that was being rendered in English. So we had to make sure that it was deployed in a way in which it can assume local settings, and the local languages then take effect, and the operators there who are natively speaking those languages can understand the functionality better. Okay, so from that was one of the considerations there. Aside to that, as far as the deployment is concerned, it's a great question though. So it's not completely something that is disconnected from the cloud. So the deployments we do through Azure DevOps, And we have developed all the pipelines. So we check in the code, it goes through all the QA and things of that sort. Then eventually it makes its way to the shop floors. And once that is done in a controlled environment, then the solution is actually running autonomously. So that's another thing that we have implemented. And as far as the machine interfaces are concerned, most of them, I mean, are not like developed in .NET, in which the main application was developed. So machine interfaces are developed in other platforms like Python-backed frameworks and what have you. So in those situations, we have developed solutions in which whenever you're reading a controller, it connects up to the remote repository. And there we have also developed applications in which it lets the IT staff there go through the steps and in making sure that it's actually pulling in the correct machine interface with the proper configurations, things like which station it needs to be connected with, and so that the telemetries could actually be streamed through that station and not any other station and things of that sort. So yeah, I mean it is just not like one pipeline that is at play, but we have a number of automation solutions that we have developed which are actually providing the required service as far as the deployment of the whole solution is concerned.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, Wendy, I've actually had some similar experience with the shop floor in a food processing plant where networking didn't reach the full extent of the size of the plant, right? We did some extensions, and so there just wasn't any coverage either from wireless or from what we'd have to do in our case, dig up the floor in order to actually wire the environment. So we actually came up. We had a bot, like a cleaning bot, which we put a Bluetooth beacon on that would go out and connect to the various devices, and it would go out on a regular interval to collect information, and then it would be able to transmit back up once it got within range. And so we'd be able to collect all the data that way. So there are a couple of innovative ways in which you can approach it. If you can't do it through hardwiring, of course, with the ubiquity of, for the most part, of cellular, but if not wireless, right? So a couple of different ways you can get there. If not, you can sometimes deploy, in this case, as we did a bot, some type of either a cart or something like that that can be moved around throughout the shop floor to be able to then collect that data. It just, it takes a little bit of time to make the rounds when that's the case, but there are ways to do it. And at that time, you can actually do that if it enables for OTA type updates, or whether or not you have to plug and play whatever you have to do for pushing changes to the controllers and so forth. But there are many innovative ways in which you can do it.
Yeah, OT is another key consideration there. Depending upon the solution, we can also enable OTA, push the firmware down to the actual machine, as in when we have the upgrades coming down. But in some cases, I mean, when you have to do deployments in a controlled environment, there we employ different strategies to ensure that we were actually deploying the correct version of the code. Because I mean, this also happens that some regions are running on a region is actually running on one version, and another region is actually running on another version. So all those complexities are being taken care of when we develop those DevOps solutions for the customer. And yeah, just to add one more point to the question that was asked previously regarding the security. So if you need to move to the cloud, there are cloud services which are available as well, and they provide features like detecting security vulnerabilities. Some of the services that are available on the Azure stack use AI there, and they keep on sniffing all the connections there. And if there is a vulnerability that is detected, then alarms and notifications are then configured to let the IT staff know that that hole needs to be plugged. So multiple options are available, and it depends on the circumstances, which about which technology or which option should be taken, which should be more suitable or appropriate for that specific situation.
Thanks, Sam. I think we answered, Wendy asked us a follow-up question regarding some of the connectivity and how can you help out if you already have an established environment and the connectivity is inconsistent. I think we addressed that a little bit. Otherwise, I think we probably have to talk to you specifically, Wendy, to find out what your use case is, right? To see if what the options are and to help more fully understand it. So don't want to ignore the second question, but I think we addressed it at a high level. So hopefully that's helpful to you. Let us know if you want to have that conversation. We are certainly open to that. Okay. Any other questions from the gallery? If not, we'll close it out there. We want to thank everybody for your participation. All right. We hope that everyone has a wonderful day. We will likely reach out to you and see if there's anything we can learn that you learn from this, and anything we can do better, as well as any way we can help you. And you know, we appreciate you looking to ALPHABOLD as a resource, and we hope that we have a chance to engage. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone.